On a busy city street where the people pass by, under glowing streetlights and a digital sky, a silent camera watches every face in the flow, scanning every passerby that it doesn't yet know. Just like the systems used by the Metropolitan Police Service and the watchers down in Wales by the shore, the lens begins its work without a sound or a shout, just a quiet little algorithm checking people out. It's not magic, not a mystery, just code behind the scenes, turning human features into numbers on a screen. Mapping every face, lines and angles, turning people into data in a place. From a glance to a pattern, from a pattern to a name, in a system built to watch the city's endless game. As the people move along, just a snapshot in the system, quick and silent, fast and strong. Then the software starts measuring what it sees, the distance of the eyes, the curve of cheekbones in the breeze, the nose shape, the jawline, every detail in the frame, built on tech called facial recognition technology by name. It turns the face and numbers, a biometric design, a mathematical port drawn in digital lines. Oh. Suspects, missing souls, the system tries to find a signal, lights the screen if a match appears in mine. Then the watch lists come alive, deep inside the code, looking for a person police already know. If the numbers line up close, an alert begins to sound. An officer nearby gets a message on the ground. But the machine's not perfect, it can sometimes get it wrong. So a human checks the face before the system moves along. Maybe ask a question, maybe check an ID card, maybe make an arrest if the evidence hits hard. Across the land of cameras in the towns and the trains, millions of lenses watching streets and motorway lanes. Some red license plates through automatic number plate recognition eyes, tracking cars that pass beneath the network skies. System shared with groups like the National Police Chiefs Council too, watching traffic patterns as the vehicles move through. Security for cities or a watchful digital sea, depends on how you view the line of safety and privacy. Some say it helps catch criminals before they disappear, find the lost and stop the danger drawing near. Others warn the watchers may grow too strong one day, with voices like Big Brother Watch leading the way, and groups like Liberty raise their voice in debate, asking where to draw the line between freedom and the state. Imagine digital ID cards in a database so wide, run through agencies like Department for Science, Innovation and Technology side by side. A face in a camera, a phone ping in a tower, movements mapped in seconds by computing power. The data might travel under laws that set the track, like the investigative powers. Act 2016 watching in the back, all overseen by regulators guarding privacy's voice, such as the Information Commissioner's Office and the rules they enforce.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Just want to say hi to Lady V73. Thank you for coming in and joining us over on Mama Bear's channel. And over here, we seem to have a lot of, well, Joe. Joe's hitting, wants to be the number one in the chat. Okay. No problem, Joe. Good to see you. Thanks for turning up. I am going to open up the panel shortly for people, but I wanted to have a chat to you all regarding, well, the digital ID scheme. And also I wanted to talk about Friday the 13th, because today is the second Friday the 13th this year. And we're only 3 months in. Now, some people say, oh, it's bad luck. It's a myth. Like breaking a mirror. You get 7 years bad luck. It's a myth. There's no evidence to prove it. And let's face it, they are out to get you. Every single one of you. So anything that they can use against you, they will. Which includes myths. Myth being digital ID in the UK. The government is selling it as a way of convenience, a way to have all your information in one location so that you can access multiple governmental requests, from sorting out your passport, sorting out your driving license, paying your bills, accessing the National Health Service app. Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it? One-stop convenience of all in this digital era. But it also says in this bill, which is now past second phase in Parliament and is now on its way to the House of Lords, it gives the police access to the same database. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because the idiots who are putting this forward haven't actually told you this. They're mis-selling it and putting the wrong narrative out. And when asked the questions around it, they just don't want to answer. Typical governmental process. And if you think you're safe over in the States, well, you've still got the Patriot Act. And they can use that against anyone. And it's unlikely that any application to question whether the Patriot Act is constitutional or not would succeed in getting past the Supreme Court over there. Sorry, government can use it against you. And in this day and age caused by governments, there's a possibility that it may well be used against you. Even going out in the street, walking down the road, you don't have to be protesting. That's is another idea. You've got all these police cameras gathering evidence on protests. No matter whether you're protesting against pork and the local sty in your area, police force, to, I don't know, objecting to the price of a can of beans in a local shop. If there's any street cameras, this digital ID will be able to trace you. Even though they've already got powers in place to be able to do that. And every single person who's ever gone abroad has already surrendered their face to the government. Every single person who has ever got a driving license, provisional or not, has also given their face to the government. But what this digital ID law will give will be a rubber stamp for the police to misuse it. And they will turn around and say that, there'll be no need to for them to ask you what your name is, because all they'll need to do is to connect and the cameras up and get the information within minutes. So, yeah, even expired passports, even expired licenses will remain on the system. And I just think, well, let's talk about it. Al Pedro, how are you doing? Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. So this is the reason why I've sort of like put it out there, because more people need to know about it. And please do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Go to more reputable and bigger YouTube channels that can give you information on UK law. There are a couple out there, including the Black Belt barrister. He's got some interesting views on this, and he will explain what the law says about it. So, if this does get through the House of Commons, the House of Lords now, and is returned back to the House of Commons, it will then go for royal assent, which means in a couple of years it will become law. And something else which the government haven't actually been totally honest about is the fact that it's going to be backdated. Isn't that interesting? So it means that they'll be able to go back and look at things and use it against you at a later date. It's a bit like the Justice Bill, which is going through, or whatever its actual name is, where they're going to, as we just talked about last time, where they're going to retrospectively put people who are waiting to go on trial, if it's a potential guilty verdict and it's up to 3 years, it will be either knocked down to the magistrates who will be able to deal with up to 2 years, or a judge on their own with no jury for 3 years. The right of a trial by jury will disappear, except for anything which has got a likely sentence of 3 years and 1 day or above, and then it will go to Crown Court. However, if this bill does go through for the criminal justice and sorting out the problems, they say, which have been caused by many governments, the backlog of people wanting to go to trial, they're going to turn around and say, no, you can't. And you can't appeal against it either. So the right of appeal will be removed, because that appeal system will no longer be there unless you've got a very good lawyer who can confirm that something illegal had gone on. But still, or, a point of law, I should say. Well, that's the way it goes, folks. And I hate to say it, but there's not much we can do about it at this present moment in time. We can talk about it. We can be prepared for it. And when that happens, then, it'll be too late. We've got to try and stop it now if we can. And one way we can still do that is to try and change Mein Führer Starmer's ideas. That's not going to happen. But, Keir Starmer is the guy who appointed Mandelson as a minister. who's been named in the Epstein files, but he was told about it before, you know. But hey, that's the way it goes, unfortunately. So yeah, digital ID, great idea in theory, you know. In practice, not a good idea at all. It's going to go against us every single time with that one, with the digital ID. But you know, we've already handed over our face, our photograph, to the state, and the state can use that against us at any time. And it will also mean that they won't need a reasonable excuse to use it. They will automatically have the right to do that, which I personally think is wrong. But what can we do about it? I hear you say. And yeah, we can do quite a lot of things about it, believe it or not. We can argue it with the politicians. Ooh, we can demonstrate against it. You know, we can peacefully protest. I say peacefully because all protests should be peaceful until such time as people are attacked, usually by the opposing side. But with this digital ID, the police evidence gatherers that record everything will be able to go back and request for a cross match against any and everybody. So yeah, unfortunately, you know, we've already done that. We've already surrendered our rights to the government in more ways than one, unfortunately. Hello, Trinity. Good to see you. It's been a while. Good to see you back. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the link into the chat, and if anybody wants to come up, please do so. If you get past security checks, you get on the stage, as they say. All I ask is that you're respectful to anybody and everybody who appears. Don't overtalk them, please. We had that last week because I put them backstage to chill out for a minute or two, so we could finish our conversation. They decided it was time for them to leave. You know, well, poor dear farmer. Always good to see you, mate. Thank you for dropping by. So yeah, anybody got any ideas? Any clue as to why we still think that Friday the 13th is bad luck? And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on Friday the 13th. Some people take it so seriously. They lock themselves away. They turn off the gas. They turn off the electricity for 24 hours. Why? It's a date. It just happens to fall on a Friday. Oh, by the way, for those watching in the UK, it's Mother's Day this Sunday, I believe. So don't forget, get your mother's, you know, a bunch of flowers, a card, show your appreciation, because theoretically you only have one mother. Well, a birth mother. I'll say that. There are mothers out there who either adopt or look after children, and children see them as their parents because they brought them up, which is okay, and is probably the right thing. What's up with Shiver? I have no idea, poor Dirt Farmer. I don't really want to use your initials because people get the wrong idea, you know. I've upset someone because of something I said or did. You know, life is just crap at times, isn't it? You know what I mean? And because I'm just thinking, could you imagine if somebody had a grudge against somebody for whatever reason or a beef, and they used today, Friday the 13th, to say something? No, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Considering it's a myth, folks. And like I said at the opening, there's a myth about 7 years bad luck if you break a mirror. You know? Oh, he got arrested trying to end himself by cop on camera live. Oh, jeez. That's really bad. That put it, Farmer. Anybody who tries that, you know, is wrong, in my opinion. But they've been arrested, and probably not for that, probably for what the potential crime was beforehand. But yeah, I didn't see that and not seen it. But that's, again, probably got nothing. Oh, you got, right, okay. If I get a chance, I'll have a look at that. Possibly. If you want, you can put your link in for your Rumble page. PDF, I don't mind. He was drinking a lot. Where? Bad state of mind. Yeah, people do silly things, stupid things, especially where alcohol's involved, or drugs. You know, people turn around and say, "Oh, well, they were in the right state of mind." No, they weren't. No, they weren't. But anyway, I've got off the beaten track again. Anybody think that the government should have a right to find out who somebody is just by looking at their face and using facial recognition imagery? If you do, put a one in the chat, because I'd love to know. Yeah, I mean, it's actually started over here, facial recognition. It started in South Wales and also in London. London being the capital, it has more cameras per square foot than anywhere else in the world. And I can't say that about, or anywhere close about South Wales, but South Wales police seem to think that they're a law upon themselves half the time. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's a state of play here. But the new digital ID legislation, if it goes through as it is, will mean that the police will have a duty to check that, to cross-reference other services that hold the database for the digital ID. And I wonder what people's thoughts are around having so much data stored in one location, you know, regarding security. We've discussed this in the past, but I will remind a few of you who may not have heard. Our digital ID database is being developed in Romania. The government has outsourced it to a company in Romania. And they have stated categorically that they have done the relevant checks and security and taken security measures to ensure that all this information is kept up to date and is secure. Now, we also have a thing called the GDPR regulations, which state that that all data can only be kept for a certain length of time, etc., and also has to be fair. So, if, for argument's sake, if you don't have, your passport needs to be renewed, but you are not going out of the country, in other words, you're not going to be using it again, right? Then you don't need to renew it, so your information should be removed from that database if you request it to be removed. What's the betting that it's not? Although you do have the right of erasure under the GDPR regulations. All data held must be held for the relevancy of what it was given for. So let's take your driving license and your passport. The reason why you were gave them permission to have your photograph is so that you could have a passport, so you could have a driving license. Once they have expired, and that there is no need for those records to remain. So it'd be unfair for them to keep them or to share that data with anybody, with any other organizations, whether that be the police, whether that be anybody. However, the law, which is Keir Starmer, mein Führer there, wants to put through and become law, goes against the core principles of the general data regulations. General Data Protection Regulations is the actual title, GDPR, because that means that the police would have access to any of that information, including your medical information. And if you have any mental health concerns of any sort, they would be able to access that as well. So all of a sudden, you're starting to feel as if you are guilty and you have to prove yourself innocent, even if you're doing something perfectly legal, such as walking down the street. And the council captures your image, which they're legally entitled to do because you're out in public. But that information, or the reasoning for that, is for public safety, allegedly, and to deter criminal activity. Right. So you're walking down the street and the local council's camera has picked you up and the police are looking around for what's going on in the area, and they randomly pick on a face. That face is yours. They can then link in with that image to the databases, which are already there, as I said, for license and for photo and for passport, and they know where you live. And they have all of your personal details. That's what's wrong. We're heading towards what George Orwell, in his famous book 1984, warned us about. And we're doing it because the left-wing, I say left-wing government, I say that because traditionally people think of Labour as being left-wing, but it's not. It's more right-wing than it is left-wing, except when it wants to be, and then it's left-wing. But then it comes on to another subject. which is how on earth do we get a situation where we are on one hand allowing illegal immigration and so-called refugees into the country that have no information because they have dropped it overboard partway across their channel crossing, or not put it on, took it on board and left it over in France. How are they going to confirm the information? Because they have no information, so they take it on face value. So how's that proving or helping to solve or detect crime? Again, there's no answer to it, because when you start putting the questions to these idiots in Parliament, certainly on the government side at the moment, and some of the opposition, they have no answers. They say, just turn around and say, it's for the safety of the country. So if you're going to have an ID recognition system, first of all, it's going to be lawful. Just because it's passed in as a law doesn't make it lawful, because it goes against your human rights. Oh, that's something else which is being considered. Ending all of your human rights, removing them, and I don't think that that's a good idea at all. But there again, who knows what's round the corner for us as a nation. And I do know that there's a lot of Americans who hop in here, and I know you're protected by the Constitution, allegedly. I say that because we discussed this last week, but let's just say you're at war as a country with Iran. They introduced the Patriot Act after 9/11. Which also removed a lot of your rights, because it meant that you could be held for the whimsical of things. I'm surprised they don't use it against auditors, to tell you the truth. But, let's follow this through. Let's just say it's an auditor. It doesn't matter whether it's over in the States or over here, right? They go out, they're filming on the street. They're filming for news purposes, to disseminate what they have witnessed or what are witnessing, because it's a live link to YouTube. And people turn around and say, but it's not news because they don't have a press card. I've got news for you. In the UK, there are 2 private companies that issue press cards, which are recognised by the police. They do not recognise any other press card. But hang on a second. The journalists pay money to one of these 2 private companies to get a pass, a press pass, which says, I am a member of the press. Well, technically speaking, everybody is the press, because everybody's got the right to record in a public place, currently. Because the law says so. You could, the only time that it can be removed is if you're in a private place, or you're in a public place, but it has restrictions. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Hi, Anarchy, how you doing, my friend? Winged up. So again, we've got this ludicrous system where on one side it's saying, no, yeah, you can film, etc. However, when the police turn around and say, I want to see your press pass, you say your press. Well, what entity other than a private entity issues a press pass? The only time you could say it's a public entity is if there is an event on which is being held by the local council and it's deemed as a restricted access, and they issue press passes for members of the press to go in, or you're going into the House of Commons as a member of the press, the House of Commons issue the press passes. All right. And they have their own rules, obviously, and they say you must be working for a news agency, one that they recognise. Then they'll issue it with you with the press pass. Oh, and of course, they've got to do a full check on you to make sure that you are legit from a legal point of view, and that you're not wanted for anything, or you've not been convicted of something that they deem to be naughty. Where, in the States, it's the same thing, same process. Although press passes are issued by the companies that you work for. If you're in working for a media corporation, it's a corporation that issues it. However, everybody is the press, as far as I'm concerned. Everyone's got the right to go out and record. Everyone's got the right to disseminate that to the public. Whether there's 5 people who watch it, 1 person who watches it, or 20,000, 40,000, 1 million, makes no difference, right? You can issue your own press pass. The Grim Reaper Network has issued press passes for people, in the sense that they have printed them off and has authorized people to act on their behalf when they go out and do any filming, because they're going to disseminate it to the public through their channel. They're part of the Grim Reaper Network. A lot of channels are a part of this network because we work together. We collaborate with each other. Some to a greater extent than others. It all depends on time. Time, place, and manner is something which I've heard a lot about. All right. But if somebody's got the time to go out and film, why can't we, as a news organisation, issue a press pass? We have our own website. We disseminate everything to the people on both sides of the Atlantic or the pond. So why can't we issue a press pass? No reason why we can't. Legally, yes. However, whether it's recognised as an official press pass is another thing entirely. Because we don't fall into the same categories. Over here in the UK, if you can demonstrate the 90% of your income is from journalism, then you can apply to one of these 2 companies and you can get your press pass. However, they will only accept it if you are a member of one of the journalists' unions or are employed by a news organisation, or you can demonstrate that your income is 90% income from journalistic activities, which means freelancers, if they are selling their stories to the big companies, the big corporations, they can demonstrate their income, but the citizen who goes out to record stuff and put it on their own YouTube channel, for argument's sake, or Rumble channel or whatever, right? Oh no, they're not allowed to. They don't recognize it because they're not professional, quote unquote. What a load of poppycock. But this is where the digital ID comes in, because they can use the digital ID to prove who you are, where you work, what your current medical conditions are, whether you have any mental health issues, whether you are on any watch list. Well, technically they can look at that anyway, right? But they can also find out what your national insurance number is over here. In the UK, they'll be able to find out whether you're on any benefits and what benefits you're on. They'll be able to do anything and everything if this gets through. And it's not that I like the House of Lords. I don't. I think they're a bunch of old farts, majority of them. I mean, even older than me. And some of them that go there to sleep and get paid for it. And it's the old man's club. But what I say here is that they're not very, there's not many Labour lords in the House of Lords. They're mainly Conservative, which means that the chances are it will get thrown back with amendments, or they will, this needs to be taken out. That needs to be taken out. But it doesn't stop the bill totally. So if an amendment comes in, it's got to be voted against or for. Now, currently, the Labour Party have more than enough MPs to defeat any motion to keep it as the way it is, as far as possible. But once it goes back to the Lords, they have to either ratify it or don't. But if they don't, then it can still go straight for royal assent, and it comes in law. And this is where our system, I believe, fails. But in other, because I think it's grossly unfair, and I don't believe that it's democratic. But that's just my own personal feelings. You see, once we appoint and our government, the public lose because the government wins. And the government is a machine. So I've been ranting for a bit. I need to finish this coffee, and I need to roll one. So I'm going to play you a new track, and it's still regarding this digital ID. And this one is called Glass Forces, this Dystopian Surveillance.
Yeah. It's gonna come in that light now, and we gotta be all right. It's a lot of paper that you can't hide, and all this when it is. Like we gotta be all right. It's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed. Yeah. Yeah. The screens wake up before the sun. Cold blue light on everyone. A million lenses softly stare, learning every face out there. Rain on glass in silent cold. A city mapped by every road. Your shadow walks but you're not alone. The system says it owns your bones. Built from lines of measured skin. Algorithms looking in. Eyes and jaw and cheekbone frame. Turn to numbers tagged with names. Powered by facial recognition. Technology sight. Watching every step at night. Every face is glass tonight. Shining in the scanner light. Every stranger, every friend, stored until the quiet end. You can run, but you can't hide your reflections on their side. In the network's endless mirror, every whisper becomes clearer again. The cameras bloom on every street, metal flowers where people meet. Above the trains, the shops, the squares, invisible watchers in the air. Somewhere deep behind a wall, servers hum and numbers crawl. Alerts ignite in silent halls, where human judgment barely calls. The networks link through city control systems used by the Metropolitan Police Service Patrol. Patterns cross the screens like ghosts, searching through the crowded host, but faces are only where it begins. The system maps the road you're in. Every car that moves through night leaves a trace in machine sight. Through the gaze of automatic number plate recognition eyes, every journey never dies. Highways whisper where you've been, data flows beneath your skin. Your phone home, softly in your hand. It tells the towers where you stand, yeah. Signals rising through the sky, satellites that never lie. Under rules like the Investigatory Powers Act 2016 chain, every movement leaves a stain. Face, phone, location, name. The machine remembers all the same. The machine remembers all the same. They say it keeps the darkness out, stops the danger, ends the doubt. But voices drift through quiet halls, warning how the freedom falls. Groups like Big Brother Watch speak low about the watchers we don't know. And echoes from liberty remain. Once it starts, it rarely wanes. Every face is glass tonight, frozen in the scanner light. No more crowds where ghosts can be, no more quiet anonymity, just reflections in the grid. Every secret ever hid in the mirror of the state. Every life becomes a trade, and when the cameras finally sleep, your face is still inside the heat. Your face is still inside the heat. Your face is still inside the heat. Stored forever in the wire, a ghost inside the silent fire.
There you go. That's a little song that I put together. Yes, I did use an AI for those people who are not too sure. That one was called Glass Faces Dystopian Surveillance. There's a couple of groups that are actually really against this digital ID, Big Brother Watch and also Liberty. And they're saying that basically this form of digital ID doesn't just go against the principles of our human rights, but it also goes against the principles of existing legislation, which is just as important, because it does, and it contradicts itself. But we all know that that's what the government does anyway, you know, honestly. Our wonderful government over here is about as much use as a chocolate fire guard. That's a polite way of putting it, and I'm trying to be polite today. I've had a couple of people who have accused me of ripping off other people's material today, just changing the subject slightly, just to get clicks and views. I've used two other channels Impact Media, who has waived all rights to their older stuff, not their newer stuff, but their older stuff. Right. And I also did last week I did a show around Levi Turnbull and the fact that he was arrested for being sober while driving. And I also only showed half of the video that he put out. I didn't show the full video. And I told everyone to go across. And I also had permission from Levi. So how am I ripping off other people's material, folks? Let me think. Oh, I'm not. And if anyone's got evidence to prove otherwise, go up and see me sometime. Yeah, I ain't going to go over to their channel. You come over to mine. You're the ones who are making the accusations. So yeah, I'll give you the time of day. Literally, honestly, because I really don't care. This is the Grim Reaper Network, folks. You are all part and parcel of this network. You know, you are the network, not me. I'm just hosting it. The link is out, folks, on both channels. On Mama Bear's channel, as always, we are restreaming over to Mama Bear's channel. And it's also in the chat on the Grim Reaper. But just for those people who come in a bit late, I'm going to put the link out. If nobody comes up in the next 5 minutes, I will be ending the show because I've got other things I want to do tonight as well. However, but I am happy to continue if there's someone else wants to have a chat with me. You know, I can't put out a statement and say, come over here and see me, talk to me, and not give you a link. AJM, if you're still around, mate, you're late to the show. But I appreciate you dropping by. I really do. Everybody who drops by. We've had a number of people coming in, going out, coming in, going out. It's fine. For those people who don't know me too well, I don't go for clicks and views. It's not me. I don't do that. I'll never be monetized. I'll never monetize any channel that I run. And I do run a few of them. But I'm not going to monetize them because I don't think that's right. It's just a personal choice. And I don't have a PayPal you can send any money to me. I never asked for it. Hey, I do this because I enjoy doing it. You know, Mama Bear, good evening. Thank you for dropping in. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you're doing well. And if you are, as I know you are, sorry, I should say this, Mama Bear's doing quite well. Hey, I've got the one and only Joker in the building. Hello, Joker. How are you doing, mate? Speak to me or forever hold your peace.
I thought you would have been dead by now.
No, mate, I'm still here.
No, you're a Grim Reaper. You must be dead.
No. No.
Nah, nah. Now he wants to pretend he's likeness.
Oh, that's me. I'm there.
What have you been up to anyway?
Not a lot, mate. I've just been talking about the digital ID that's coming in.
Oh, do you mean that thing I've already told you is already here? But bearing in mind that, guys, listen.
Yeah.
I told you all 5 years ago, Grim, that I have a government payment card because I'm not a Mongo enough to give them a... What? I don't have a bank account, but I have a building society. Now listen, guys, whether you like it or not, guys, check this out. What he's talking about is already here. It's already here. This digital world is already here. Because I pretend I don't have a bank account, but I still get
Right. Sorry. Hello, Causation. How you doing, mate?
How you doing, bud? You doing good?
I'm all right. Sorry, Joe. I was trying to introduce a new guest.
Yeah, but the thing is, you brought about a digital ID, right? But the thing is,
Don't
I
tell.
refuse. Shut up and listen. I tried
Well,
to
you-
tell you this 3 years ago, but you're all didn't listen. And you can what? You're part of the problem because you don't listen. Because you know better, don't you? Right? Listen.
No,
I am in the UK. I'm in the UK. I'm an ex-service personnel that gets
Yeah.
government payments for being autistic and military, Saturdays and Sundays, right? But I don't have a bank account. Yeah, okay, there's legislation, if you're on benefits, that you have to give up your bank account. Do you know what, guys? I have a building society, and just like Monzo in 6 months, I'm going to have to give it up. But here's the funny thing. The digital ID you're so scared for, well, listen, Rishi Sunak said you're all going to get a digital ID and a Bank of England account. I call that a government payment card. So what I mean by this is, guys, I've already showed you this, ain't I? Right? Mine says, right, I can go to Tesco's and get my fucking benefits. When what happens in Greece, when your banks get shut down, you get fuck all. My government payment card gets me paid. Now check this out, right? I've been doing this for 5 years. And why is it Grim Reaper ain't tell you this cunt shit yet? Why is Grim Reaper not told you that get rid of your bank accounts and get a building society? Because if you're on benefits, the building society is not a bank. Why has the Grim Reaper not told you this? I'll tell you why. Because he's just like Anne-Marie and he lies. He doesn't give you any decent information. So anyway,
You've not listened to what I've been talking about.
Grim, when was the last time, Grim? When was the last
Noticed.
time you actually was a real man and never hid behind your server that is still wide open? Hey, and you know what?
Now that Caucasian, how you doing, mate?
I'm chilling like a villain, you know, cheating, robbing, rhyming, stealing. How are you, brother?
I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. My apologies. Unfortunately, some people don't know what I said earlier and what I was talking about
Oh, I've
earlier.
been to YouTube before. I'm familiar with this place. They're like,
Yeah, bloody stupid YouTube. Right, the missus is awake, so save me going up and waking up. Right, my ears. Some people forget I wear hearing aids, so I hear everything, literally.
but not only
I have
that,
to turn everything down.
like that wasn't a conversation.
No, it was a rant.
Yes.
Yeah. But what I was saying about the digital ID over here is our wonderful government has decided that it wants everybody to have one ID on one server. Now, you understand servers, you understand computers, right? Would you want all of your personal details on one server where the program has been designed in Romania?
I hear tell there is a proud tradition of Romanian hackers that develop excellent servers, sir. I don't know, man. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't sound like a great idea to me, but you know, what do I know? I'm just a Saturn watch.
Yeah, I know. But technically, right, we've already got it, right? Because you can follow where you've gone and where you're going to, etc., through cameras on the road if you're driving. If you're out in the street, we've already got camera surveillance, face recognition systems already there. Why do we need to have this little piece of legislation which says, right, that the police can access all of the other information held by the government without a court order. That does not make any sense to me. That's an invasion of privacy.
But because.
Yeah, because.
Because, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Over in the States, they've already got it. It's called the Patriot Act. Technically.
Oh, yeah.
But,
no, yeah. Georgia got hooked like fucking 15 years ago, that crap. We've got like a universal ID thing, and you can tell that you've got it because it's got a little holographic star on it, you know?
Yeah.
And I never signed up for it. I have no memory of ever opting in on this program, and yet I have one of these IDs. I have no idea when I got it, when it happened, and at what point. I know originally it was not, and I'm one of the few people in Georgia whose driver's license is not their social security number.
You're lucky, as I say. I mean,
I changed it. I changed it when I got my first license. Before I ever got a license, I was like, fuck no.
Over here, our driving license is run by technically a private company. I say technically, it was originally set up by the government, but it's also a private company in its own right because it can sell stuff to make money, right? However, what I will say is at the moment, the police can check if you have a valid driving license or not, right? On a road stop. It's on a traffic stop because you legally have to show them your driving license. They take the details down, and on there is your driving license number. We haven't got to a point where everything is linked to one number yet over here, like over in the States, because everything is on your social security number, which is why you're not allowed to, you shouldn't give it out to anybody, right? Because with that information, people can really, they can rip you off with your ID, etc. Now, my concern is the fact that this little piece of legislation, which has already gone through the second reading in the House of Commons, has now gone to the House of Lords for them to have a look at. I'm hoping they kick it back with a load of amendments, which will mean that it'll be delayed and hopefully never come in. But somehow I don't see that being the case, because if they get it through, it's going to end up going through and it'll be get the royal assent in a couple of years' time. Mellows, how you doing, mate? Okay, DVLA is not a company. It is an executive agent of the UK government, specifically sponsored by the Department of Transport. Yeah, but it sells number plates, which makes it a company in order to trade. Yeah, but you know where I'm coming from. It acts like it, but they can't share the details with any organisation. The police can request it, and there is an inference that because the Road Traffic Act says that they can, you have to show your license, they can then take those details and check it across the database over there to see whether or not you are legally allowed to drive, which is fine, but I wouldn't want them to have any more information. This digital ID will allow them to have access to your medical records as well. That I don't like the idea of, because it's written in a paragraph, very small, that law enforcement agencies should use cross-reference agencies. One login, one ID, shared amongst all government agencies, all on one database, which is open to abuse. Would you trust them?
I don't trust anyone, bro.
Oh, I know. I mean, it was in a way a rhetorical question, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
believe me,
just saying, when it comes to government actors, one of the worst things you can hear them say is, "I'm the government. I'm here to help." I'm in the I'm in the part of Georgia where they decided not to send FEMA agents to the hurricane victims that had Trump flags and things in the yard. You remember that bullshit? Yeah, that happened. That was a thing. What went down? I was here. They never knocked on my door. I never saw nothing out of none of that.
Yeah, but they know better to knock at your door.
Dude, I am a dues-paying, taxes-paying member of this fucking community. Like, I know the sheriff, like, on a first-name basis. I know half the fucking council personally. That makes no sense.
Yeah. You understand where I'm coming from. You know, the way I see it is, you know, if you pay your taxes, right? I pay my taxes, right? I have no choice. Everybody pays taxes one way or another, right? However, what I do have a problem with is the fact that some of these agencies take the mickey regardless, and they use everything against you. I don't want my medical data shared with the police if it has nothing to do with driving. They don't need to know what medication I'm on. They don't need to know anything other than I have a valid driving license. That's all they need to know. But the facial recognition is the worst part of it, because we all have already consented to the government for a passport and driving license that have our faces on them. And that is something where the police will be able to use that information in their facial recognition AI crap that they use. That's the biggest problem. Like I said earlier, you can be walking down the street and then they can turn around to you and say that they're going to check on you to make sure to see whether or not you have any existing warrants that's on the traffic stop part and parcel, or if you're wanted for anything. But more importantly, you can be walking down the street not doing anything, and they'll be able to use the facial recognition system to stop you and to potentially search or to arrest you for doing nothing than other than walking down the street on the wrong side, for argument's sake. You know, it's too much, in my opinion. We are giving too much information and too much power in this situation, not only to the government, but also to the police. Now, Caucasian has had to drop out for a minute. That's why he's muted. He'll be back in a couple of minutes or so. I just wanted to sort of like clarify why I'm raising this. I mean, Joker was going on about bank accounts and how he gets his money, etc. I had to say it. He's right and he's wrong, because it's already here regardless, right? From that point of view, anyone claiming any sort of benefits over here in the UK has to have their money paid into a bank account, or they get a payment card and they can go to the post office, I believe, and withdraw it. However, the post office will stop that facility because it's costing them too much. In other words, they're not getting anything back for the privilege of helping the government out. And before somebody turns round to me and says, "Oh, the post office is part of the government," it's a private organisation. So, why are we giving private organisations access to any personal information? I don't know. But hey, that is the way it goes. Okay. Anarchy is saying, let's pull it up. Just another reason why I don't want American to be anything like Britain. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you are saying there. As I said, though, under the Patriot Act, which came in after 9/11, they've got the right to do whatever they want in some ways by using that piece of law, technically. But I don't believe it's abused too often. Probably because most police officers don't know how to use it. But I'm talking about police officers on the street having access to personal information from other databases, because it's all going to be cross-referenced and stored into one location. Which would also mean that, for argument's sake, the National Health Service could also technically have access to your driving license details and can report things. Now, I believe that this ID single log-on and the way that the government are going with digital ID breaches our human rights, Anarchy goes on to confirm, when the government believes it can suspend our natural rights in an emergency, it will create an emergency, suspend those natural rights indefinitely. Absolutely agree with that statement 100%. Which is why they brought in the Patriot Act, which is why our government is doing everything that they can do to take away the permissions that we have and our rights under the Human Rights Act, because they want to replace it. And there's a lot of people out there who are saying we need to get rid of the human rights because, quote unquote, it is to do with the illegal migrants and putting them up in hotels, etc., and giving them money and doing everything else. Well, I hate to say this, all we have to do is to say no, because that doesn't fall under the Human Rights Act. All we should do is to give them a tent and give them a place on the beach somewhere out of the way with a couple of high fences around to make sure they don't get out, allegedly. But that's my feeling on that. They're here illegally, therefore they're not entitled to anything other than what any person who has broken the law is entitled to. I'm not saying we should hold them in concentration camps, but maybe a secure field or something like that, away from housing, away from children, away from women, just to protect them. That's all. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, our government over here is, it likes tyranny. It likes restricting our movements. It likes restricting our rights. And eventually the High Court may get a ruling on it and may go against them and say, no, it's illegal because of X, Y, and Z, and back up 100% people's human rights. But if we get rid of the human rights and introduce our own, who knows what they might put in place? Who knows that they might turn around and say, no, you're not allowed to video in public. Everybody in public has a right of privacy. That doesn't work. Can't work. Eyes on the audit, Mellows. To mass deport thousands of people, they will need to reform our Human Rights Act to be able to do it. I didn't say deport. Technically speaking, if they break the law, we can deport them regardless. Because they came in illegally, didn't come through the legal route, technically we could. You know, and that's the way that I see it. You know, yeah, I says that's how they will do it. Yeah, well, it will do if we allow a different type of government in, which takes away our human rights, our current human rights. I'm talking about human rights which we have as well. Unfortunately, you can't distinguish between human rights that an illegal has and human rights that we have, because they have the same rights. My problem is that there should be more done to stop them coming across the channel in the first place. And this one in, one out crap doesn't work. As we've seen, where you get a busload or two busloads of illegal migrants coming in and none going out. Never mind one, none going out. So, yeah, one in, one out doesn't work. Sorry, Starmer. That was a load of bullshit. And the way that you're putting across digital ID as being convenient for people to access services that the government provide. All they want you to do is to surrender your rights so that everybody, all that information can be shared amongst everybody else, and the police will have the right of access to it. That is against my human rights. You know, because that information is stored for a specific reason. And nowhere does it say that they can share it with anybody else. In fact, for the health service to share information with a doctor, you have to give permission for it to be shared. But the police won't need your permission to gain access to it. They can just go in and log into it and get it, because it's all going to be stored on one database. Now, those of you who know a little bit about software will know that, you know, it doesn't matter how many firewalls you put up or how many things that you put into place to stop that system from being hacked, there is no such thing as an unhackable system. But by having it all in one place, you are making it an attractive, lucrative piece of data, which could end up on the dark web even more so, because if they do get into it, you can imagine how many millions of people's data could be leaked. And I have concerns that with it being developed as a in Romania, which is Europe's biggest capital for hacking and hackers, I don't see how that's going to work, personally. Even though the government swears blind, they've done all the checks on these people, and they have to, you know, they're only accessing the server. They can't access anything else from where they are. Yeah, how many back doors are built into software so that if the system goes down, it can be restarted? that back door gets hacked, we're screwed. I looked at the government's one sign-in, and there are a number of ways you can sign up for it. One is with a portrait picture of yourself, which gets stored. You can log in by confirming your driving license details and also a credit report on you. Those two go hand in hand. Or you can just hand over your passport details, because currently those your passport details and your driving license details are held separately, but they want access to prove your identity in the first instance to make it convenient for you to log into one application, which then links to all the other areas that you want to get to, such as social security payments, benefits, applying for benefits, handing over your financial details, such as your bank account, to your national health number, so that's stored, so that they can access your medical records, or route you through to the NHS. Instead of having different, as it is now, you have one login for your NHS app, one login for social security, one login to access any details that is held in regards to your driving license. You can request information that the police have on you, although they don't like it. I don't get it. Where's the convenience for me or for you where we now have security because we have different passwords for different applications? Whereas, even if you had a long password which is secured on a system like RoboForm or something like that, where it's all held, this is where my concern is you trust in what you trust in. I don't trust the government, and AJM is really put it there. And he says, Big Brother 101. Yes, absolutely. But Big Brother is also the name of one of the organizations which is dead set against it because, Big Brother Watch, dead set against it because of the fact that it's screwing us over, and what they don't and what the governments are not telling you. So ask the questions. Don't believe the propaganda and the way it's coming out. It is not being designed for it to be beneficial to us. That's just a side point that it could be if you trust them. Whereas what I'm saying is, don't trust the government. You should never trust the government, because even if you're paranoid, if you are paranoid, it helps because they are out to get you. It's as simple as that. And if you don't believe me, folks, then that's down to you. But do your own research around it. I can tell you one thing, you might go, I don't believe it. Fine. But at the same time, just don't accept it. Go out and do your own research. I mean, it's not difficult to get the information. I put in some information into GD chat, whatever it is, GDP chat, and I got all this information as to what the government wants out of it, the pros and cons, the concerns which it's raised, etc. as a result. And I went, okay. It didn't tell me this, it didn't tell me that. I mean, I knew about it, but it's not what the government are telling you, And I don't believe that there is any server which is unhackable. Just because it's got government on it doesn't mean to say that it is secure. It might be secure to a certain point, but it's only a certain point. And if the servers are not located in the UK for starters, well, it's questionable, isn't it? Automatically. I question the fact that it's been developed in Romania. Are you back now, Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Oh,
Too
good.
longer than expected. My bad.
It's okay, mate. It's okay. I mean, I've actually covered all I wanted to cover on this subject. It's really just to put it out there, don't trust the government and do your own research. Don't take my word
Definitely
for
do
it.
your own research.
You make your own mind up. It's individual. I've got a question for you. Today is the 13th. It's Friday the 13th.
That's what I hear.
Right. Do you believe in the myth and the legend that if it's going to be bad, it's going to be on Friday the 13th?
Not really.
Well, you get bad
This
news
is largely a
because
Templar effect. It's pretty shitty if you wake up in the morning and the Pope decides that you're all going to die, and they did it last night, right? So
I like that. Sorry.
I'm just saying, dude, like Friday the 13th is about as bad luck as it can be if you happen to be a Templar Knight in 1173 or whatever it was.
Yes.
Sucks, bro. Really sucks for you.
Well, this is also the second Friday the 13th this year. There's more this year, for some unknown reason, there's more Friday the 13th than there has been for the last 4 decades, something like that. I found out.
I think they're sweet on me.
It's like, it's a myth. It's like, if I break a mirror, you get 7 years bad luck. No, you don't.
All right, so are you familiar where both of the mirror myths come from?
Believe it or not, no. But
So,
I think it wasn't it. Hang on a sec. Let me think about that for a second. No, someone did mention it to me, but yeah, go for it.
So most of the mirror myths that you hear about, bad luck and all of that, if you'll think about it, actually makes sense, come from cultures that, early mirrors were developed in Arabia and Eastern Europe. And largely these have to do more with reflections than it does with actual mirrors, because the actual real mirror didn't come around till like much later. But anywhere where 2 reflections are opposing each other is considered an open space.
Right.
For, the purposes of auspices and omens and shit. You're not supposed to have a room where 2 mirrors face each other and reflect each other. That's supposed to be. But the mirror represents something of a counter world, a place where different decisions were made. And when you place 2 mirrors facing each other, you're countering the counter world and can. Thank you, my love. And
You're welcome.
Yeah. And can cause some unforeseen spiritual side effects, one of which being a spirit being trapped between them. And while it sounds cool to have a ghost trap, that's not usually how it works out. The way it works out is you piss off the goat and they get out, and then they're very angry. But on that note, I have a bathroom in my house where there are 2 almost full-length mirrors facing directly at each other, and I avoid that place.
But again, that's mythical.
I mean, you say potato and I say potato.
Yeah, exactly. But it's mythical. From the way I mean,
what you call mythical.
I don't want to get onto another subject, but I see these things as myths. It's a bit like St. George and slaying the dragon, right? For starters, he wasn't British; he was Persian or French, right? And secondly, when have we ever known there to be dragons? I mean, I live in Wales and I can't fucking see any. Excuse my French. You know. So I always say it's a myth. But if you want to believe in it, you believe in it.
Well, what if I were to tell you that taking some myths at face value is a decent method to predict what some groups might do because they also take those myths at face value?
If they take...
I believe it.
Okay, right. Okay, so if you broke a mirror, do you believe, because you've broken the reflection, you get 7 years bad luck? On the same principle, if you're looking at a reflection in still water and you break that reflection, are you going to get 7 years bad luck?
All right. So still water is in and of itself one of those kind of shaky ground things, if you catch my drift. Running water is typically cleaner, right? It's more aerated, healthier to drink, that kind of stuff. Still water can sometimes be tepid. And
I'm talking about if you're looking in a pond.
Yes,
right?
I get what you're saying, but hear me out. These myths come about by way of people's experiences and trying to explain the experiences that they've seen and heard of. Breaking a mirrors used to be valuable. It might take you 7 years to replace a mirror in Bronze Age or fucking late Iron Age. Yeah. You know, that could be very bad luck over a long term. Now, I'm not sure when exactly mirrors became a thing. Something we should look up, right? That's weird that I don't know that.
Well, I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, it sounds like the kind of stuff I do all over.
Yeah, you know all this wonderful, useless pieces of information that become useful.
I got one for you. Something that sounds like it should be some kind of omen, but is absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah, okay. So we've had mirrors since the dawn of fucking human civilization, pretty much. Right around the time we figured out how to polish obsidian, we've got fucking mirrors. Polished copper, polished brass. So, yeah. From the dawn
it's only recently. It's only since they worked out that if you put silver or silver coating on the back of glass, you get a mirror.
Or lead.
Or lead, yeah. Yeah, there's usually something on the backside of it, and that's what you mean. When it came to glass, I mean, right?
Sure.
But what I'm getting at here is, it's light that is reflected back at you. All right, that's what you see. It's light.
Sure.
Now
I got you. I dig it. I'm just saying when you take into account,
yeah.
You can kind of see some of the madness in this world that are out of our control make some sort of twisted type of sense because they're operating on different principles.
Yeah, like the government. Any government.
People in and associated with the government, I'm not sure the government's directly involved in that shit at all. I think they might be just the carrier, the financier, as it were.
Yeah, they're told what to say or what to do, theoretically. Potentially, but no. What I'm saying is, I'm using that as an example, right? But let's just say, for argument's sake, it is a group of people, right? And you've done your own research, and you know what that group of people believe in. Therefore, you've got you can make reasonable assumptions of what they may do and what the possibility is. So to counteract that in general life, right, I always expect the worst because anything else is a bonus.
Right. Prepare for the worst. Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best and deal with what comes.
Well, yeah. I mean, the other thing which I say to people, and I believe in myself, is look at what you can control, not what you can't, because there's no point in worrying about what you can't control.
I kind of have a slightly different opinion on that. You look at what you can't control and you try to figure out how to. But meanwhile, you don't worry on it because you can't control it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm concerned about this digital ID. Right. I really am concerned about it for a number of different reasons. It stinks of fascism to me, right? And control.
Yeah, about that. Who actually won World War II?
The Allies.
Okay,
All of them.
Wasn't the whole thing to do with stopping a fortress Europa?
It was to stop a fascist from taking over Europe. Yes.
So
that's the original.
While I'll whip this out, is not Europe currently Fortress Europa? So I ask you again, sir. Who won?
Okay, right. So if you're looking at things like the laws made in Europe, right, which all governments agreed to taking part in, which is the European Parliament, there have been some good things brought in to protect people, but there's been some stupid things brought in as well. Right? Things like health and safety is always a good measure, right? Health and safety of the people who are in, who are working, etc. You know, before Europe actually brought something in, I think we brought something in called this Health and Safety at Work Act, etc. It's the only piece of legislation that's got the word etc. in, because it's actually run by regulations, and the regulations change every now and again. But health and safety in the workplace, I think we do need. But health and safety to me is common sense. You know, you wouldn't touch a live wire of electricity, you know, unless you're stupid or you want to find out what it does.
Or you'd like to be God.
You know,
if you touch it, you don't find out what it does. Your friend does.
Yes, it's too late sometimes. Because you work on was it 110 over in the States in most areas?
Yeah.
Voltage, we've got 240 over here. I have actually accidentally in the past caused an electric spark when two cables touched each other that weren't meant to. And I realized, oh shit, I don't need to do that again. And since then I learned and I made sure that all the cables were separate and, more importantly, the power supply was shut off.
I got one for you. Go ahead.
But I survived.
Me too. Hear this one out. I helped build a power plant. In the process of this, it takes multiple 440 lines run to multiple places. And because the plant is built from like 70 feet deep, layer by layer up, until you get up to ground level, in the process of building, you have to bury and then dig up these 440 supply lines, right?
Yeah.
So there's this whole process and procedure and yada, yada, yada. But one of the procedures is you have a stick man. This is somebody with a shovel or a hoe or just a stick, right? And as you're uncovering the line, he pulls it free of the dirt and digs all the little bit of loose sucking shit out from around it so that you can get to it with heavy equipment without actually damaging it.
Yeah.
So part of this procedure, you have to be cross-trained on the machine that's digging it, the dirt, whatever certification for the material it's buried in, and the safety protocols for the level of electricity you're dealing with, right? Out of 3,000 people on this job site, there were 4 men that had all 3 qualifications that were needed to do this specific job. Now, of course, they immediately started training other people. And so after about 2 weeks, it wasn't a problem. But at first, there were only 4 guys. And the first guy made it 2.5 hours before he had something of a nervous breakdown. And I didn't know that. The second guy actually cut the wire and had a minor heart attack and ended up retiring. And so then they called me in there and they're like, hey, we need you to do this. And I did something that nobody else in that lineup had done. And I didn't find out about this until later. When they were like, okay, they went and tried to do the job with whoever they sent. And I was like, no, I want Jack on the trackhoe. You give me Jack on the trackhoe and I'll dig that whole line up. And they were like, we've got Jack over here doing something else. I said, then find somebody else to dig up that fucking line, because I don't trust anyone else to run the fucking bucket while I'm standing next to that line. I'm not doing it unless Jack's in the trackhoe. And if Jack doesn't agree with it, I'm not doing it. And they were like, okay, fine. I come back in the next day, Jack's standing over there, and he's like, what kind of shit have you got me into? I said, we got to dig up a 440. He said, all right. You know I'm safe in my bucket, right? I was like, yes, sir, I do. He's like, all right. He's like, I won't hurt you. For 2 weeks, I dug those lines up. And when we started doing the debriefing, bringing in everybody else that had been cross-training to do this stuff, and we got like 6 more people coming in to do it, it was relayed to me that you're not allowed to do that specific type of work but for 48 hours. So after 48 hours, they have to bring in somebody else. So you can work basically 1 full week doing that job. And I'd done it for about 3.5. And let me tell you something about that 3.5 weeks, bro. I had the worst acne, the worst body odor, the worst foot odor, and I broke out in fucking hives all over my fucking body from stress. Because every single movement I made with that shovel next to that dirt could very well be my last. We'd never cut a single bit of insulation. Only once was it worried that we might have. There was a power surge that happened that turned out to be not related to what we were doing, but because it had happened, they shut everything down, come out and investigated the line. It was fine. And we went on doing it. And Jack was like, oh, I knew that. He's like, but I'm safe inside here, and you looked fine out there. You never shook, you never rattled, you weren't freaking out. I was like, dude, I was sweating fucking bullets the whole goddamn time, bro. I was standing next to a wild goddamn animal, I want to eat my fucking face and reduce myself to ashes, and I didn't want no part of it. And you said I looked fine? He said, dude, you look cool as a cucumber. I said, shit. Boss tier. Next thing I know, instead of doing that actual job, they actually invented a space for me that was basically training other people to do that job. And so I would walk them through it for a few minutes, and then the better, more used to it they got, the farther and farther away I would get until I was talking to them over a radio far enough away not to fucking die. Yeah. 440 ain't fucking around, dude. That should have grabbed your ass from 30 feet away.
But you're talking high voltage, right?
Yes. Yes.
And high voltage is actually safer to work with than lower voltage.
To work with, but not on.
Yeah, I said with.
Yes.
I did say with.
On it, not with it. That shit was not working with me. That shit wanted to kill us. Dude, yes. I could taste where that fucking line was. You're going to say I'm crazy when I say this. The tip of my fucking tongue would tickle when I stepped over the top of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it will do because it's high voltage, and there's obviously there were rules in place, but nobody thought to tell you. That's nice of them. Which meant that you could only do it for so long, and then you go back, you do something else, and you can go back. And there's a reason. There'll be reasoning behind that, called safety, right? Common sense.
You get lax. But I had a procedure. I built a procedure out of it, a method by which he can't possibly hurt himself, and I can't possibly be hurt by anything he did. And what we did was basically set it up. I got into the trackhoe, and I did some measurements based on like how far the bucket could reach from a certain point, and I set everything up, and then I would measure from where the line should be, and then subtract 6 inches, and then make a mark on the ground, and he would pull his track up and split that mark in half. And then nothing he could do would actually reach that fucking line, right? As long as he doesn't move forward, he can't reach. He can reach as far as he wanted to and get all the dirt everywhere within arm's reach, and he won't touch the line. And what ended up happening, setting it up like that, as we're digging along, the weight of the line itself would drop it out of the wall, and we'd be able to see it. And after that, you can dig it up. No problem. But until you can see it, it's a fucking mystery exactly where it's at.
Yeah. So, theory behind it is you saw what the danger was, and you minimised the risk as far as possible, taking into account, of course, that in wet conditions, which further down you go, the wetter the soil, right, or the damper the soil.
Sure,
that electricity can arc to the nearest thing, right, which will earth it again, which would be the metal digger, right? So
yeah,
that's how health and safety should be. You look at the what can happen, and you look at ways to minimize the risk.
Well, here's another funny thing about that job site. That was such a, like, typically they've got a machine that can do this, but because of where one of these lines had run, we couldn't drive the machine over it because it would crush some of the construction that was already built under the ground, right? And so they had to bring in somebody to do this. And so for like 555 yards or whatever, I dug that shit out. Anyway, the issue on the job site was the fact that not only, or the reason I wasn't tapped at first was because I was also the only person on the job site that was safety trained for that job. and the only reason that is when I first got the job, I found out that on Tuesdays they give tests for certifications in the game room, and you had to sign up for it on the Friday before. And so every Friday I signed up to certify on just random shit, things off the list. I just pointed at stuff on the list. It got me off the job for 8 hours, and if you pass, you get an extra quarter an hour. So, hell, it's a win-win situation, even if you don't pass. And I'm really good at taking tests, and they had these little pamphlets that had all the answers in them. And I would pick up the pamphlets that Friday. I'd sign in for certain ones, pick up the little workbook things, take them home, study them over the weekend, come back, pass it on Tuesday. And from between my second check and my third check, I added $5 an hour to my pay. And they called me in to have a meeting because they're like, "Where are you getting all of this?" And I'm like, it's in my contract. They're like, what are you doing? I said, it's in my contract. First of all, because I'm not union, I don't have to go through the union to do these certifications. I do it through the company, just like it says right here in my contract. And I do that on Tuesdays, correct? And they were like, yes. And I can attempt to certify for anything that you offer, right? And they were like, well, provided we've got the materials. And I was like, exactly. And so right now, and there's a reciprocal recognition of certification at this level of business. Because I'm certified for this company, I'm also certified for the union and certified for the federal government. I'm a national fucking treasure at this point.
But that's working the system to your own benefit. A lot of, you get more pay because you got more certification, but it also means you can do different things. So you're an asset.
Affirmative.
In that area, you would make it. And again, if I link it back slightly, my concern over this digital ID crap is the risk assessment has not been done in the same way that the risk assessment has not been done on the number of illegal immigrants, because worst case scenario is X, right? With the digital ID, it is the server can be hacked. It's all in one place. It's a gold mine. Literally, it is the entrance, if you like, to Fort Knox, right? To get all that data, someone's going to try and attempt to get at it. Why? Because it's in one location. Secondly, that information could get hacked What the government doing to reduce that from happening? The easiest way is forget it, because you've already got legislation in place for the police to use facial recognition, because it was brought in 2016 by a Conservative Prime Minister. And he even set up a department just to deal with it, because they wanted to lead the way for the world in digitization. So it's already there. You don't need this piece of garbage they're trying to put through. They want to use it to make it more convenient for them, not for the people. And my fear is, if they get it through here and they demonstrate it works, it's going to go throughout the Western world, which means it could end up in America. And I would hate that to happen, because I believe it would be unconstitutional, because it would be against your Fourth Amendment.
The push in America seems to be a little bit different. We've kind of already got something like a digital ID at this point. Most states have a like a barcode thing already on their licenses, and that's why the cops want your fucking ID. They hold up their finger like a little square, and they want the correct D, the ID.
Mm-hmm.
But by law, nowhere in the union do you actually have to have a physical ID. And this has gotten me out of shit a few times, because the way you ID yourself is by saying your name, date of birth, and location of residence, and that stands as an ID. That is actually more defining as an ID than your actual physical license.
But that's federally. That's across the whole of the United States.
Yes.
That's nothing to do with that's a federal point of view, right? And
hold on. The individual barcodes, though, are part of a multi-state, like an APHIS style database that the federal government has access to. But none of this is either here or there. They don't want you to be attached to your ID here. They want you to be attached to a cell phone, so that they can use the cell phone to incriminate you, your location and whatnot.
Yep, they do that already over here. The law's already in place. The same way as they can use GPS to locate your vehicle. If it's turned on, because all new vehicles have GPS in them. It comes standard. Before, it was to do with your phone, but they can track your phone whenever your phone is switched on. It's got a unique ID on the phone, which is the MEI number. Which they can track through the GPS system. Sure. That's how, when you sign up to Google, it says, do you want your phone to be tracked? If you say yes, apart from you being an idiot, right, it'll track wherever you go.
Well, I'm
anywhere
tracking
in the world.
bro. I'm not gonna lie. I can't find half my fucking side chicks' houses without Google Maps.
Yeah. But it's either on your phone or in your vehicle, right? Why do we need this? Why do we need it all to be stored in one location? If the police want to get cross-reference, they already can. Over here, we have, if you're driving a vehicle, you could be stopped by any copper, any policeman or woman, right? Anywhere on the road. And you have to produce your driving license, your certificate of insurance, proof of insurance, and a valid MOT certificate for your vehicle if it's over 3 years old, right? They're the three things you have to show them, not give, show, right? If they quote the legislation correctly. So this is where a lot of the police officers fail, because they don't know the legislation they have to quote when asked.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, you have to quote it. Like here, it might be in some circumstances, if you're in private locales, that you can be forced to show a physical ID because you should have had to have shown the ID to get in the first place, right?
Yeah.
There are places where that shit don't fly. But as far as on a sidewalk,
you don't need it. You're walking.
right.
But if you don't have these pieces of paper or certificates or whatever to show on a traffic stop, you can request to show them at a police station of your choice within 7 days. It's called a 7-day producer. Failure to do so means that you have failed to meet the requirements of the Road Traffic Act because you've been in charge of a vehicle at the time.
No way we do that in America. I guarantee you there's no possible way that happens in America. They drag your ass to the station right now. I bet you. If there's a law
they try it over here, but it's they're trying to get rid of the 7-day producer, right? But because it's written in stone, so to speak, and it only came about after, it came about prior to you needing a physical license. The law moved on, but this particular law didn't. So therefore, it's carried on. It'd be very difficult technically to get rid of it. Although with this government, I wouldn't put anything past them, to be honest. I know they want us to be a stop and ID country, which would be like the equivalent of a state over where you are. There's only a few states where it's stop and ID over in the United States. Out of the 50, I think there's possibly about 11 in total, off the top of my head. But even then, I think if that was challenged, it could possibly get overruled by the Supreme Court. But nobody has done that because it costs so much to do it. That's part and parcel of the problem. And the same
I've
over
had an
here.
interesting law change that I'm thinking might be fixing to happen in the States. This one's tickle your pickle a little bit because it goes to like the true nature of freedom. So we have a whole bunch of like really old laws left on the books from back pre-prohibition era, where a lot of the moonshine. All right, so it's legal to make moonshine here. In Georgia, I think I can make 200 gallons per person per year, right? There's a guy, and I don't know how much they can make in Tennessee, but in Tennessee, they can also make a legal amount of moonshine. It is legal to own a still. You're breaking, the only time you break the law is if you cross state lines with it or if you sell it. If you sell it, you fall afoul of commerce laws, and then it's out the window. You're a felon. Congratulations, you lost your right to vote. But there is a guy, I think it's in Tennessee, and he had a perfectly legal still set up, and he purchased a firearm like from Kentucky or Louisiana or somewhere, and there was something wrong with the paperwork, and the ATF came by as part of the policy of trying to keep all this paperwork and background checks and all of that stuff together.
Yeah.
And when they got there, he was making a run of moonshine, and because what he was doing was not illegal, he just invited them around back to, answer all their questions while not messing up the batch, because this was a consensual thing. When they leave, they get a warrant to come back and search for the gun in question. And then they found that the building this man had was stacked up with over 150 years worth of moonshine recipes and samples from his father, his grandfather, his brothers, his great uncles. Like, there were thousands of moonshine samples in this barn that were all cataloged and collated as to who made it, what year, how much, how people liked it, what it was judged as, everything you can imagine. A total museum of family moonshine production. And as I understand it, the ATF confiscated all of it, showed up, grabbed it, made a big stink about how they had busted up a moonshining operation and yada, yada, yada. And then they started looking at the details of what it was. And when it comes down to it, it was a $150 fine for a misfiled bit of paperwork involving a firearm. All charges dropped. And they gave him his gun back. But you know what he didn't get back?
Moonshine.
The actual moonshine itself. All of the recipe books were returned, as I understand it, but he had a literal historical record of moonshining from before Prohibition to the present day, an unbroken record of everything physically there, and they took it. And that, by definition, is a government tort.
I was going to say, the setup over in the States is different, but you got federal law, you got state law, you got local law, right? All of which nothing overrides the Constitution. But there's nothing in the Constitution which says you can't make moonshine, but there's nothing in there which says you can either.
It falls under commerce law.
Yeah.
There is no law against making moonshine.
Yeah. If you're giving it away, right,
Yes.
giving it to another state, somebody in another state, technically speaking, it's not illegal.
Well, no, that we know how to do that too. Here's how you do that. If I am giving you a bottle of moonshine, you have to come to my house and I give it to you and you take it home.
Right.
That is not trafficking. That is a friend giving another friend a gift. He has to get it home somehow, and that's not illegal. Right. On the other hand, if I go to your house, or rather, if you come to my house and you give me some alcohol, you traffic that across state lines to give it to me. That's illegal.
Right. So if it was mailed out to you, that would be illegal.
That would be illegal. That would, in fact, that would be multiple felonies.
Right. Okay. Because that's federal law.
Right. And everything federal is a felony.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if you smoke weed, it might be legal in your state, but technically speaking, from a federal point of view, it's illegal. So what they've done is they've got, if it's on state property, then that's fine. They're not going to do anything technically. But if you smoke it on federal property, you would get arrested for it.
So the way it works here is, technically speaking, weed is still illegal, but a certain amount of medical things are being done. And so it is possible to get a medical marijuana card, but it is a real motherfucker and a half to actually get it to happen because the process is the punishment. I just lost the cap to my drink. Anyway, so no one really can get, I mean, there are some people that get marijuana cards, but it's like because the state says they do, they have to a little bit. But normal people aren't going to get a medical marijuana card here. Yep. But what you can do, and this doesn't make any sense to me, there are certain places in Georgia, certain towns where the town itself has decriminalized it. You can go there and purchase whatever the hell you want and drive home. You are technically trafficking, but you're not crossing state lines, and so it's not a felony trafficking case typically. Yep. But one vape in Georgia is federal. Single dab pen, yes, sir. Whereas I can have up to almost an ounce of weed, and it's not a felony.
Can you grow it in your state?
No, absolutely not, sir.
I'm not legal in your state. Right.
No, sir. I'm the one that built an aquaponics system. When lockdown rolled through, I was absolutely certain somebody was going to legalize weed, whether it was Trump or Biden. Either way, I thought it was a fucking shoe-in. And so I built an aquaponics system and grew the best tomatoes and chives and broccoli and all kinds of other shit, waiting for the legislation to finally come through. And all that happened is they removed some of the language to allow it to be rescheduled later. And then when Trump came in, he rescheduled it. But hell, by then I'd done burn up 2 fucking pumps.
Yeah,
all my fish are dead.
I know there are states where you're allowed to grow it at home, a certain amount, It's
Yeah,
usually
you see some ones
restricted
in their
to
places.
X number of plants. And when I went over, where I was going over to Massachusetts, where it's legal.
Yeah, well, that's Cape Cod,
But,
bro. Like,
yeah.
Cape Cod's.
Well,
let me tell you something about Cape Cod. All right, and
hang
this
on,
is something
hang on.
you might not have.
But yeah, when I went over to New York, because I was going to a different state, couldn't take any with me, couldn't smoke it, just in case. Although it was legal in New York, you're going from one state to another, and it falls into federal trafficking, which is stupid, in my opinion. But that's what the law was. You know, but yeah, I mean, Cape Cod's. I love Cape Cod. I'd love to go back there, but realistically, I can't see it happening this millennium.
I'm just saying, if they legalize that shit, I'd grow the finest weed in the Southeast. I swear to God, son. Dude, I have been
do you have legal dispensaries?
Not here.
So you have no dispensaries open?
The closest one I've got is in I think there's one in Athens, and I think there's one in Savannah, and I'm positive there's one in Atlanta, but none of them are technically legal. They're legal in the city, but technically they are illegal. And so there is some question as to whether or not this is evidence. And they have cameras everywhere and shit. So I just don't go to dispensaries.
No. Well, again, it's all down to facial recognition. But yeah, I mean, I was just curious. That's all. I mean, over here they decriminalized it for medical use. Right now, there is a little. This is how stupid it is, right? If it's medical, you can get it. You pay roughly about the same, maybe a little bit more than you would do normally, right? The only difference is because it's prescribed by a doctor and you're paying for that prescription, a private prescription, it is still medical. So technically speaking, right, you can take that anywhere so long as it's in its original container and you can prove that you've got a prescription for it or you've had a prescription for it, right? Which is great. And you can get a vape the same way. You can get gummies the same way. But if you use a vape or you smoke a joint in a vehicle where the driver doesn't, the driver can still get done for driving under the influence of drugs.
Because they smelled it.
Yes.
That's another one. That's another one that's coming up here soon in the Supreme Court, I think. Whether or not the smell of marijuana, it's already gone through here. Cops can't use the smell of marijuana as a pretext to search anymore in Georgia. They're still doing it, but legally they're not supposed to. But there's still the rest of the Southeast Circuit over here that hasn't changed any of those laws and stuff. Like South Carolina is pretty decent on those laws, but North Carolina, as I understand, it's fucking draconic. They're worse than Georgia from what I hear.
Yeah. Well, again, it's all down to state law, but then you've got, as I said before, and you agreed, you've got federal law. Until federal law is changed, technically, if it was a state trooper that stopped you, they could. Even in a state where it's been deemed that it can't be used because they're federal. Or have I got that the wrong way around?
It's something like that anyway, man. I don't know. I've got weed so fine that it'll make you die broke and lonely.
Stop it. I'll be asking you to send me a sample. Oh no, shit, not allowed to. Sorry, it'd be illegal because you're trafficking.
That's way illegal.
Yeah,
like way bad.
I know.
I got a question for you. It goes to where I'm going when I leave here. After I'm done here, I'm going to go talk to some people about this topic. And the topic is, should the U.S. abide by international law? And it made me think of a question, and I would like an answer to this question, and I don't really have one. Who's going to make us?
I've got a better one. Question. International law is based, has come about since the end of the Second World War,
Sure.
right?
Right.
But who is going to enforce it?
Right.
Where are you going to be taken to court?
Right. And who's going to judge you? International law should be changed to international suggestions, because that's really what it is. NATO has its own thing, which is fine. But as far as the UN is concerned, they got no teeth. If the home country that they're operating in, asks them to leave, if the president's like, I'd really like y'all to get the fuck out, they got to go. They cannot be there without the request of the official government of that nation.
Yep. And if NATO is in a country where that country is a member of NATO, regardless of how much they pay in, right? They can't ask NATO to leave because they've already agreed.
Just keep in mind, NATO and the UN are two totally different organizations. These are not the same thing.
Yeah. So the only international court that I am aware of is The Hague.
That's the UN, isn't it?
I believe that's what. Yeah, it's in that way. That's where all the trials were.
Now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. But UN is supposed, allegedly, controlled by the US.
Yeah, no, see, that's what I'm getting at.
I'm not saying it's not the case. I'm saying that certainly at one time it was, right?
Both NATO and the UN largely utilize American resources for their implementation and enforcement. So if we're not enforcing ourselves, who's going to do it?
Yeah, I agree.
And if it can't be done, I think the conversation's over.
I would agree with you totally. It'd be the same as we have international waters is international law. Right? Within your 12 miles or whatever it is, that's your law. Right? Anybody going into your country has to abide by your laws. You go into somebody else's country, you have to abide by their laws. Right? So as a tourist, however, if you have diplomatic immunity, different kettle of fish. You can get away with murder.
Diplomatic immunity is one of the greatest things ever devised by the mind of man, because it creates so many legal fallacies built upon a house of cards that never fucking existed. So, like the hypothetical, someone with diplomatic immunity is driving down a road in New York City. He has a fender bender with a car in Times Square, and on national television he gets into an argument with someone, pulls out his pistol and shoots him right between the eyes, gets back in his car and drives the fuck away, goes to the nearest embassy or what the hell ever, walks in and explains what just happened. They get on an airplane and go home.
Yes,
with no charge.
Over here there was an American woman who had a car accident and killed somebody, right? As a result of the car accident. They tried to prosecute her, but the US said, no, she's got diplomatic immunity and we've given it retrospectively, which meant even though at the time she was not covered by diplomatic immunity, her husband was, but she wasn't. They did it retrospectively and they flew her out. And they spent years trying to get it to be extradited back. Doesn't work.
So that brings up that question again, bro. Who's going to make us?
Well, here's another one for you. We have legislation which is similar to certain legislation over in the States, which means that technically we can prosecute and you can prosecute somebody over here, right, in the country where the breach of law was made, right? This is why your president is allowed to sue the British Broadcasting Company for editing what he said at Capitol Hill and putting it out.
Yes and no. No and yes, right?
And he can do that because the laws are similar, but he can't sue over here. He has to sue over there. And if he wins, who's going to force the BBC to pay the money?
I hear you. I feel it. I'm fixing to go talk to these guys, and about half of these guys are the type of people who are like, "Oh no, we've got to do exactly what everything the UN said."
I'd love to know where you're going, so please put it in the chat, and I'll go over and watch. And if I can, I'll jump up on the panel because you and I see things similar.
Sure. Let me see here.
But yeah, it's one of those that very strange, and it's a good theme to end the show on.
Okay.
Here's a question.
Hold on. Do you have? Hold on. Let me fucking can't type and talk. Do you have the redirect?
Oh, I know you are. Yes. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
I know them. Never been on the panel, never had the invite.
You don't know. I'm giving you an invite right now. Feel free whenever she opens the panel, which will be, hold on. She just told us in chat in like 45 minutes or so. She's going to drop the link in chat, and anybody who can get in gets in. And I advise you to go quick because when I think we got another 20, 30 minutes. Something like that.
Yeah.
She's got 15 slots open that you can get in, and there's usually about 25 people within the first couple of hours. So if you don't get in immediately, just let it rotate for a bit. Give it 15 minutes, try again. But there's some really cool conversations that go on over there. There are also some fuck shit. So
yeah, no, I've seen a few, and if it's usually the host is the one that is controlling both sides of the argument. Or tries to.
She was moderating a bunch of stuff for a long time, and she's kind of stepped away from that. Right now, she's doing a debate on United States comply with international law, that whole thing between two certain people. And the panel opens, we're going to get to grill whichever one of them sticks around, because usually one leaves and one stays. Whoever stays gets immunity. You can't buy them down. You can't change their name. You can't mute them, because they participated in the actual debate. They're immune. Mm-hmm. Anybody else that comes up can be bought down. You're part of the show. Don't get your feelings hurt because nobody means
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's basically a official shit show. She calls it the gauntlet. And I suggest anyone who's planning on going into any sort of either debate sphere or panelverse sphere to go put in some fucking lumps over there, get your feelings hurt, let these people talk down to you and treat you small and tiny, and get over it. And then go do the rest of your life, and you'll feel much better for it.
I've been in a few of them, and I've run a few panels similar to that as well. And people do leave, and it's their problem at the end of the day.
But she's good people, and the rest of the people over there are all absolutely stark raving batshit crazy. But they're not vicious. They're not hateful, although they can get fairly pointed. And if you're dumb enough to say some dumb shit, I'm dumb enough to feed it to you, right? Don't say dumb shit, you'll be fine.
But you and I have been around long enough, and I've been on a few panels with you, and you've said a lot of dumb shit in the past, and I've sort of gone, and
you'll be fine.
It's fun. It's always fun. If I'm still awake, mate, because it's 20 past midnight here. So if I'm still awake, I'll definitely jump on. But it might be something that's worthwhile.
Like 45 minutes, 8:20 to 9:15, so almost an hour.
Right. Okay. I'll do my best. I can't guarantee.
Yeah, actually, for guarantees.
That's the problem. The problem with being 5 hours, 6 hours in front of people is a pain at times. But yeah,
it's fine, brother. You do you. You know how I feel about that.
Sasquatch, thanks very much for coming up, mate, and having an open and frank discussion. I do appreciate it. You know that. You take care. Is there anything you want to say to the final people who are still here watching?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Fantastic. Love it. Okay, folks, thanks very much for coming in and chatting, listening, taking part. Apologies to anybody who I upset. It's not deliberate. It's just part and parcel of the way we do things here at times. And to a certain Johnny, anytime you want to come up and say hello, you know who I'm talking about. Please do. All the best, folks. Take care. Peace. And enjoy whatever you're doing next.
Yeah. It's gonna come in that light now that we gotta be all right.
It's a lot of paper that you can't hide, and all this when it is.
Like we gotta be all right.
It's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed, it's a cold shed. Yeah. Yeah. The screens wake up before the sun. Cold blue light on everyone. A million lenses softly stare, learning every face out there. Rain on glass in silent cold. A city mapped by every road. Your shadow walks but you're not alone. The system says it owns your bones. Built from lines of measured skin. Algorithms looking in. Eyes and jaw and cheekbone frame. Turn to numbers tagged with names. Powered by facial recognition. Technology sight. Watching every step at night. Every face is glass tonight. Shining in the scan of light. Every stranger, every friend. Stored until the quiet end. You can run but you can't hide. Your reflection's on their side. In the network's endless mirror. Every whisper becomes clearer. And the cameras bloom on every street. Metal flowers where people meet. Above the trains, the shops, the squares. Invisible watchers in the air. Somewhere deep behind a wall. Servers hum and numbers crawl. Alerts ignite in silent halls. Where human judgment barely calls. The networks link through city control systems used by the Metropolitan Police Service Patrol. Patterns cross the screens like ghosts, searching through the crowded host. But faces are only where it begins. The system maps the road you're in. Every car that moves through night leaves a trace of machine sight. Through the gaze of automatic number plate recognition eyes. Every journey never dies. Highways whisper where you've been. Data flows beneath your skin. Your phone home softly in your hand. It tells the towers where you stand. Yeah. Signals rising through the sky. Satellites that never lie. Under rules like the Investigatory Powers Act 2016 chain. Every movement leaves a stain. Face, phone, location, name. The machine remembers all the same. The machine remembers all the same. They say it keeps the darkness out. Stops the danger, ends the doubt. But voices drift through quiet halls, warning how the freedom falls. Groups like Big Brother Watch speak low about the watchers we don't know. And echoes from liberty remain. Once it starts, it rarely wanes. Every face is glass tonight, frozen in the scan of light. No more crowds where ghosts can be. No more quiet anonymity. Just reflections in the grid. Every secret ever hid in the mirror of the state. Every life becomes a trade. And when the cameras finally sleep, your face is still inside the deep. Your face is still inside the deep. Your face is still inside the deep. Stored forever in the wire, a ghost inside the silent fire.